Yes. All right. Bismillah. How are you guys doing? So, Jazakallah khair. Really appreciate you guys being here. Really appreciate you guys taking this opportunity to take, I hope, inshallah, a very beneficial course on very particular skills in leadership. You know, I really love the topic of leadership. It's I think it's the most important topic. It's the most important thing I think we need to change society, change the world, rejuvenate financial sectors, political sectors, social sectors. You know, it all starts and ends with leadership. And leadership is not just, you know, some rah-rah concept or theory. It's an actual science, and there's principles and elements to it. And inshallah, what we're going to try to be doing this session of LEAD, unlike the last session, the last 12 weeks that we covered last semester were focused on personal leadership. So how do I personally lead myself? This session is all focused on how do I lead other people. What are the skills, techniques, abilities that I need to teach and enhance my abilities in leading other people, okay? And we talked about, just a quick recap of last time, we talked about some general leadership principles, but number one is that leadership, not everyone is a leader, but everybody can learn leadership skills and enhance their leadership abilities, right? So a leader, by no definition, is it some kind of genetic thing. That's just not true. Some people have a genetic tendency to be leaders, but anybody can enhance their leadership capabilities. Of course, there's different levels. It's not, you know, black and white, right? It's not somebody is a leader or not. It's many levels or shades of gray when it comes to leadership. But leadership is essentially the ability to move people, influence people, right? The ability to have people around you. It's all about people, right? It's a person that can move other people, right? Whether a male or female, whether young or old, those are irrelevant to whether you can influence other people. People that are selling you products are trying to influence you. People that are selling you thoughts or ideas are trying to influence you, right? So John Maxwell, who's one of the leadership gurus, he mentions that leadership is influence. That's the definition of leadership. Leadership is your ability to influence. And of course, different leaders can influence at different levels. Some leaders have a button and they can launch a war and destroy and kill people in the millions. That's a level of influence. And some people, all they can influence is their 3 or 4 friends, right? Parents influence, leaders influence, siblings influence, mothers influence, CEOs influence, managers influence, politicians. Everybody's trying to influence. It's the world of influence, right? But the best leaders are the ones that maximize their ability to influence other people, right? Does that make sense? Now, I'm not going to recap a lot of these concepts, but understanding that there's a difference between a celebrity and a leader, right? So people that are popular are not necessarily leaders, right? Just because you have a lot of followers on Instagram or Snapchat doesn't mean you're actually doing anything in terms of leading people, right? Me doing funny jokes or pranks or something like that, and I'm really popular, doesn't mean I'm influencing people, right? And to some extent. What we're talking about here is the ability to influence people towards goals as well, right? I want to lead people towards a particular direction, and that's what leaders have as well, right? So in summarizing very quickly, leaders are people that are able to move others towards goals. That's the basic definition of leadership, okay? The number one, how are you doing, Isra? How's it going? The number one, without a doubt, technique of influencing people towards goals, towards objectives, towards means, is your ability to communicate with influence. That's the number one. One great leadership expert, he said, if I lost all of my leadership skills, every single one of them, and I only was able to keep one, I would keep my ability to influence through speech. Why? It's the most powerful, right? But what if he lost everything else? Why this one? Because with this one skill, he can get every other skill, right? So I might just be a good orator. That's it. I only speak with influence. I don't know how to organize, but you know what? I'll speak and influence people to come on my team that know how to organize. I don't know how to make money or fundraise, or I don't know how to sell a business or a product. You know what? I'm going to influence people to what? Join my team, join my company, join my organization that know how to sell products or market, or I'm going to bring people on. I don't know how to run a campaign. I'm just an influencer. I have no idea how to organize a campaign. I have no idea how to be grassroots. I have no idea. But with my ability to speak, what can I do? Recruit, inspire people, move people. So if I lost all my skills, but I was able to have my influence through communication and speech, I can get everything that I need in the world, right? And that's why it's beautiful, because the Prophet ﷺ one day, he said a powerful word about speech. He was riding on a camel one day, traveling with a group of his friends, and he told Mu'adh, who was like a great scholar, very, very knowledgeable in different languages. So he asked Mu'adh, do you know any poetry of the ancient Arabs? Like some powerful poetry. Of course, by the way, the Arabs and humans, I mentioned this in last lead, throughout human history there's been no such thing as reading and writing, right? Reading and writing is a new phenomenon, right? Relatively new. Actually, about 30% of the world still doesn't know how to read or write, right? Or 40% of the world. Because it's a new thing. In the past 100 years, there's been a mass, or 200 years, about, the past 2 centuries, the world has massively learned to read and write. But for the past thousands of years, how did they communicate? In mass? By word of mouth, right? There was no people, it wasn't cool to read or write. There was no schools, there was no academics, right? So speech has always been the thing. So the Prophet said the Arabs had obviously a spoken language, right? So he said, they were very powerful with their spoken language. So he asked Mu'adh, can you recite some poetry for me? So he recited some poetry. And the man who he was reciting from, his name was Umayyah ibn Abi Salt. He was really powerful, like, it's like Drake, you listen to Drake, and I can relate it to, like, God's plan or whatever. I don't know what you guys listen, but it's like, when you hear really sick rhymes, you're like, yo, drop the mic, it's lit, oh my God, right? And because it's all lyrics, all it is words. It's about the synchronization of words and how impactful they are, right? They had the same thing back then in poetry. That's essentially what happened. So the Prophet said he was hearing all these amazing lyrics, and then he said, Allah, wow, Ya Allah, Inna min al-bayani la sihra. Speech has a magical thing to it. Like magicians can use words to influence people. And so this important phrase, that public speaking is a tool of magic. It's something that is so powerful in inspiring other people. And so I wanted you guys to think very quickly. Can you tell me or think about who are the most magical communicators that you know? Like if you can summarize them into like the most magical or the most effective communicator that you know. Can you tell me who they are or describe? So let's talk about who they are first. Who's the most inspirational or powerful communicator to you? I don't like the word speaker because I think sometimes we limit speech to a particular thing. It's about communication, and I'll speak a lot about that much on time today. Who's the most powerful communicator to you?
Barack Obama.
Okay, Barack Obama. Very popular. Who else? Sheikh Omar Saleh. Good. Anybody else? Powerful communicators. Can everybody share one? Or who they feel is the most powerful? Go ahead.
Well, when I used to listen to him, Norman Al-Khan, I thought he was...
Okay, you said no. Great. What else? Everybody. Yes. Okay, Mufti Ming. Nice. Muhammad, how are you guys doing? Most powerful communicator?
Justin Trudeau.
Huh?
Justin Trudeau.
Okay, very good. The Canadian Prime Minister. Yes. God, I'm sorry, I didn't catch your name.
Oh, Abdullah.
Abdullah. Go ahead.
That's Barack Obama.
Okay, Barack Obama. Obviously, you guys grew up in the Obama era, so that's a good one. Yes. Go ahead, Jamal. Okay. Yes. Most powerful or influential communicator that you know in your life, or have heard about, or have heard of. Okay, I'm gonna say man. Nidal?
This one guy, I don't know his name. He's African American. He goes to schools. He talks about how to never give up. And
Eric Thomas.
yeah, there we go.
Okay, very good.
Aisha Prime is so good.
Aisha Prime. Okay, good. Very good. Excellent. So all of them, mashallah, everybody's communicating all of them. By the way, none of you guys mentioned they are also communicators. I just want to make sure that that's clear. Nobody mentioned a singer, but singing is a form of communication, right? Rapping, definitely a form of communication. People that are influential in, like short clip, yeah, like Eric Thomas or different people. Very good. You guys obviously mentioned some famous Muslim speakers, right? So influential is very, very good. But what is it about them that makes them influential? By the way, let me ask this question first. Is everybody you mentioned a leader?
Yeah.
What's the difference between a leader and a communicator?
Not much.
Okay, not much.
Well, they're an influencer.
They're an influencer. Okay, so is every speaker an influencer?
A successful leader is a communicator.
A successful leader is a good communicator. Okay, can a good communicator be a successful leader?
Not always.
Yes.
Not always. What's the difference? Wait, hold on.
They just have to want to be a leader.
Because
That's all they have to do.
you can talk.
Okay, raise your hands just so everybody can hear. Make sure everybody. I'm sorry. The setup. We're trying to set up for this week, by the way. So if it doesn't work out great, but make sure we're talking to everybody. Yeah.
You can talk, but if all you can do is talk and not like get people on your side, then
If you can talk, you can do both people on your side.
So if you can talk, can you get people on your side?
yeah.
You talk
but,
well.
yeah,
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 but
talk.
Okay.
But you already said a communicator is someone that can talk well and influence. So
You can-
influence and talk well. You can.
Okay, so if you influence talk about, are you automatically a leader?
So you're a leader.
Put
you're
plan
a
of
leader.
like action.
Like you can talk about the problem, but if you
You can't-
can't do anything, if you can't do anything about the problem,
Or at least delegate the tasks for any like any action. to
Okay.
progress in-
Okay.
yeah.
Okay, okay. Anybody else want to add in here? Is every speaker is every great speaker a great leader?
Look at all the congressmen. Like,
Okay, are congressmen good speakers?
I mean, some of them are, but what actually happens? Nothing.
Nothing, right? So, but they're they're kind of leaders.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Anybody? So let's make sure we write this point down. Great leaders, and we mentioned leadership, and we're going to emphasize on this a lot because we're focused on communication that's leadership bound or tied. Leadership is about moving people towards a direction consciously. Okay? Right? Consciously moving towards a direction. So, whether it's good or bad, by the way, the goals can be good or bad. Hitler was a phenomenal leader. He moved people towards something very destructive. Right? Phenomenal leader in terms of the sense of having leadership capabilities, like speaking. But it was bad to serve. Or you can have a phenomenal orator that never leads people anywhere. He's just great at speaking, right? I mean, maybe it can make you more emotional. He can inspire some hormones within you. But then that's it. You walk out and you feel like, oh, I don't know where to go now, right? But I feel good, right? And there's a difference between them. So, most great leaders, a lot of great leaders, definitely have powerful speaking capabilities. But not everyone, and by the way, not all leaders, but a lot of them, especially the ones that are, I wrote here, the ones that are legendary. They are extremely powerful communicators, right? Obama's name will forever be remembered as a powerful communicator. Hitler's name will forever be remembered as a powerful communicator, right? By the way, Trump is a powerful communicator. It's a third grade level, but it's right? And we'll talk a lot about that because it's not just like whoever I like, right? It's whoever delivers on what the goal is, right? That's at the end of the day, it's about influence, right? Moving you to where I want you to go. Does that make sense? But not every powerful communicator is a leader, for sure. Some people just communicate and it doesn't go anywhere, right? And that's important to understand the distinction. Yes?
What's the difference between a communicator and a leader is direction?
So there are people that are, yes, exactly, yeah, because leadership is tied to direction, right? Leadership is moving people towards goals, right? A communicator can be very powerful in delivering information, for example, or an impromptu speech, exactly. But it doesn't lead you anywhere, right? Does that make sense?
Yes.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Right. So understanding both of them, inshallah. And we're going to dive into this a lot, inshallah. All right, very, very good. So leadership is, great leaders in the past have always been tremendous, whether for good or bad as well. And it's a very, very powerful technique. It is, again, one of the most powerful techniques in influencing other people. And again, we are focused on, so very, very quickly, I guess I'll discuss this right here. There are really 3 types of communication when it comes to speech. 3 types, in general. Everything falls under 3 types. The first type is people, a communication that's meant to deliver information, right? So I'm just giving you information, stats, statistics, whatever, evidences, right? Just like your teacher or your professor, or, right? They're just delivering information, right? Then there's persuasive speech, influential speech, which is our entire module is focused on this type of speech, right? The different elements of it, the different techniques, the different types of influential speech. That is its own category, because that is meant to deliver an idea or to change a behavior, to move you, whether mentally, emotionally, or physically, okay? And that's really what leaders tend to focus on, and that's very powerful, and it's a deep science. The last type of speech is an impromptu, okay? So if you take a regular speech class in college, they'll probably start with introduce yourself, then they'll probably do like a demonstration, which is more information, right? So every single one of them is a time. Then there's impromptu speeches. What we're focused on here is communicating with influence, okay? Which falls under the line of persuasive speech, or speech that mobilizes, whether changing minds, thoughts, or actions in people, right? So if you're a business person and you're selling, what are you doing? I'm trying to persuade. If I'm a politician, I'm trying to garner votes. What am I doing? You're persuading. If I am fundraising or talking on behalf of a not-for-profit organization, what am I doing? Persuading. I'm trying to deliver an idea. If I'm a writer or a journalist that's trying to change public policy in a particular area, like social justice or something, and I need to influence the minds of people, what am I doing? Changing thoughts, right? So essentially the science of leadership falls into the persuasion category. Does that make sense? So that's the only thing we're focused on. There are other things that are nice and important, impromptus, different things, presentations, but we're not focused on any of that. We're trying to focus on how do we deliver a message that sticks, that moves people, etc., etc. Okay? Does that make sense? Excellent. Very good. Any questions? All right. So let me go through inshallah. Before I know today's the first day going through all this, I think this is extremely important that if you write, have something to write on every week. Again, whether it's like research is really clear, but if you write things, it's much more powerful in remembering them. So please, I mentioned this the last session, lead session, that you bring your own book, a special important book for you, like your own journal, a book that you can preserve, or a tablet or a laptop, whatever it is, but that you're taking some of these notes, inshallah, because that'll be effective for you in the long run, because you'll always come back to these important keys or principles whenever you need them, inshallah. All right? Very, very cool. Here we go. Let's start with some basics. All right? So this is, again, today's a simple intro, and I'm going to go into one element of persuasive speech today, and I'll lay out the entire module for you guys, inshallah. Right? So we're going to start with some simple basics about speaking and some of the overall, most effective techniques of speaking in general. Not even persuasive speech yet. Just speaking in general, okay? So the first thing is that the most powerful communication that you can ever do is communication that you know well and that you love. At the end of the day, every single one of us in here, you'll get put into different scenarios. You're trying to influence a team, or your parents, or a group, or it doesn't matter, right? It comes in different ways. But when you're trying to speak or influence people, one of the absolute profound metrics is that if you know this topic really well, and if you have a passion for it, right? So it could be sports, it can be cryptocurrency, it could be, like, if you've ever talked to people, like when somebody's really knowledgeable about an area, and they're speaking really passionately about it, you know what you automatically do from a psychological perspective? You're like, oh, wow, that's powerful. The number one thing that leads you to influence as a speaker is that you know a subject really well and you have a passion for it, right? So there should never be a time when, especially like in a public setting, where you speak about something and you don't know it well. Like you haven't studied it, and I'm going to tell you guys what an expert is, and we'll talk about that in a minute. but you have to know it really well. At a basic training level, like different trainers, like the American Management Association, they mentioned that if you know a subject really well, when you're able to speak on it, again, this is a professional corporate level like trainers, 60 hours without notes, right? So if you're able to prepare a training for 60 hours and deliver without notes, for them that's their standard. Like that's an expert in an area, right? That's at a deep corporate level, but giving you the idea or the mindset of where people are at when it comes to that, right? So literally in like corporate settings or government settings, you know, people are so specialized in one area, right? So I'll mention to you guys like Dr. Stephen Cohen, who I use a lot for this. He's a Harvard grad, Harvard professor. He specializes in just persuasive speech for leaders. That's it. Like nothing else. And it's crazy how much there is under that, right? So very focused means that you're more impactful, right? Does that make sense? Like maybe we don't understand it at that level, but if I know the New York Jets like nobody else. I'm giving you an example, right? So I could speak to you about, oh my God, did you guys know that DeMario Davis was PFF's 34th best linebacker, and he had 150 tackles, and oh my God, he was the captain, and you'd be like, what the heck are you talking about, bro? Right? Or if I'm really good in fantasy football, give me 1 second. Really good in fantasy football, and I'll tell you, Mike Evans averaged, Mike Evans averaged 13 yards, average depth of target. He was targeted 135 times last year. He should be the #1 overall pick in fantasy rounds next year. Right? It's like you're so, but when you hear me, and I'm passionate and I know it really well, what do you automatically think? Like, oh shoot. Right? So it's automatic step back. So when you know something and you're passionate about it, that's the #1 basic step of being influential. Right? Does that make sense? Very cool. It's in my jacket pocket. Very cool. If you guys have any questions, let me know. Alright? That's #1. #2, again, this is some of the basics. #2, and this is from an Islamic perspective. I know again, when you take this in a college setting or something, there's really some elements that aren't as essential as what we have here. The second of them is that you really have to be very honest and trustworthy when you are speaking, right? There is so much about credibility that's talked about today. Like people that are not credible, so if you know what you're talking about and you love it, it's a sign of credibility. But at the end of the day, all communication, that one of the most important principles is that people trust you. And the more trust you build, the stronger and more impactful your communication is, right? And the more, and we'll talk about it today, especially what we're going to focus on today, which is attention. The more trust or credibility decreases in the eye of the listener, the less impactful your message will be, even though it might be absolutely 100% right. Okay? So credibility is down to being honest. So as a person, as a speaker or a leader or influencer, you should never, obviously this is why you don't ever lie. Especially when you're speaking in front of people. Like I'll never tell you guys, I read a book and I didn't read a book. Or any honest person should never be like, hey, I accomplished something and I didn't accomplish it. Or I made up, somebody else made a theory and I'm using it as my theory, right? That destroys the credibility in a person. In the short term, you might fake it to make it till you make it. But long term, you can't fool people long term, right? Like people will catch you eventually. So credibility is really, really important. Even as to put it in your shoes sometimes, even in different classrooms, right? Or different settings that you will be in, right? Sometimes with different parents, you have a different rapport, or you have a different credibility about, right? Like sometimes I tend to lie to my pops a lot, right? Whereas my mom was always really honest, just for example, right? So there's a different credibility metrics in their mind when you say something, right? And you see that when you make an ask. Same thing when you come to certain settings. You might go to a certain professor, and you've lied to him already 5 times, and you need a big lie for your final, right? And then all of a sudden he's like, it's not happening. Whereas other professors, you've always been communicating, you've always been on time, all of a sudden you need a big ask for your final or final project, and they're what? They're much more open to it, right? Even in those simple perspectives, really what they're measuring is your credibility, your honesty. Are you trustworthy? Are you truthful? And the more you increase that, obviously the more impactful you'll be, right? So that's really, really important as a speaker. Politicians, of course, are famous for this. Business people are famous for this, that they really are not very credible, right? And subhanAllah, you don't buy from, it's interesting, I'll move on from this, but the people that market more are usually not as credible. For example, do you see a lot of Starbucks commercials? Why? Because they don't need to tell you who they are. You're freaking going to Starbucks for coffee, right? Whereas Dunkin' Donuts, for example, as an example, they might have a lot of commercials because their coffee sucks. But if they keep talking to you, you know what they're going to do? People get tricked into going there. Does Apple ever make commercials?
Yes.
Rarely. Like it's, rarely. Surface, there's a Microsoft commercial every 5 minutes, right? For Surface Pro. I'm Apple
So
guy,
many.
right? There's a couple of Apple. At different trends, they have different times. But like, does the MacBook ever? Have you ever seen a MacBook commercial?
No.
No. Have you ever seen computers for Dell or different computer companies? For sure. For sure. A lot more than Apple. Why? Because their credibility speaks, right? They don't need to tell you. Their credibility is already there. Does that make sense? That is a much more powerful commercial than constantly sitting in front of you telling you. Does that make sense to you guys? Very, very good. Excellent. Again, some of the basics. Another one of the basics is confidence. And I'm going to focus on that a lot today. I'm not going to go into depth about it. But being confident is a basic element of effective speech. People that are not confident, we kind of like smell it off of them. We're going to talk a lot about that a lot today. Body language, how that speaks, even to myself. We're going to focus on that. So I won't go too much into it, but confidence is really important. I'm going to ask you guys a quick question though. How do you differentiate between somebody that's, again, from a speaking perspective, from a speaker, how do you differentiate between somebody that's arrogant and confident? How can you tell? If you can describe the difference. Yeah.
Arrogant is when they act like they know what they're doing, and they don't listen to other people's advice.
Okay, good. So I'm looking for keys. Okay. So number one, they don't listen. Good. What else? How do you differentiate between somebody that's a confident communicator and an arrogant communicator?
Facts.
Facts. Okay. Like what?
Arrogant communicators will exaggerate a lot.
Okay, so exaggeration, right? A lot of hyperbole. 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 I hope I'm not arrogant. Hyperbole, good, very good. What else? So they exaggerate a lot. This is the greatest organization of masses. Wonderful. Oh my God. Right? Right? America is great again. We're making America great. We're bringing back jobs. We're right? What are they doing? There's a difference between arrogance and confidence, right? Good. What else? What else is a symbol between arrogance and confidence?
They get angry really quickly.
They get angry. Interesting. So they're more emotional if things don't go their way. Good. What else? All right, somebody in the back. Guys in the back.
Critique other people.
They critique.
Attack.
They attack other people,
Yes,
right?
yes.
So a confident person they're confident within themselves, right? So they don't need to put down other people. But someone that's an arrogant communicator, they're not confident within themselves. So you know what they do? Because they're powerful at communicating, they can rip people, they can lower people so that they can rise. Excellent, very, very good. Absolutely. So they're always putting people down. You automatically assume that as somebody that's arrogant. Very good. Anything else? Okay, how can you separate between somebody that's confident and someone that's in love with themselves? Not arrogant, but like they just love it. They're deluded by their own self-worth. Self-centered. They're narcissistic. How do you tell the difference between that?
Somebody
Hamlet.
who's in love with themselves, and basically like everything they communicate is something that's really going to benefit themselves. But somebody who's confident is looking to like the benefit for the greater good. Like,
Okay, good. So someone is self-interested, and somebody that's confident is more holistically interested in everybody. Good, excellent. What else? Okay, can you guys name for me some arrogant communicators? Okay. Is that unanimous? Are you guys all Democrats in here? That's why? I gotta take you guys up. I was at McKinney yesterday. And McKinney, there's a girl who goes to middle school in McKinney. She's like, literally all the teachers, they promote Trump every class. They showed Trump's inauguration in the school. Right? Everybody watched the inauguration. Isn't that interesting? So, is that based on your perspective or just in general? I don't know. Any other arrogant communicators? Yes?
The entire Kardashian family.
Okay, are they arrogant?
They're self-centered.
Or self-centered? I was thinking more they're more deluded with themselves.
Not really.
That's true, that's true, that's true. But I think arrogance comes off a lot more harsh towards other people. I don't think they come off as abusive of other people, right?
No.
They come off more self-centered, right? What else? Either one. Either one. Arrogant or self-centered communicators. Hillary? Hitler was very arrogant. For sure. Hitler was very arrogant. We're good.
Roy Moore, that was funny.
Roy Moore?
Before
Very good. That was good. Good one. You guys are very much into politics, mashallah. That's good. Anything else? Any other? Okay, good. Okay, good.
Kanye.
We'll come back to it. We'll come
Yes,
back.
Tommy Lauren.
Who? Who?
Tommy Lauren.
Tommy Lauren. Very arrogant, of course, right? Tommy Lauren, but you guys are very political. Tommy Lauren is very... Is it backbiting? So, I'll go through, let me go through the next couple. So, next thing about, again, these are the basics of effective communication. These are just some of the basics, okay? This is not just an overview of some of the essentials. You can learn this probably in any really good speech class, you'll learn these. These are just some of the basics. Some of them are Islamically tied, some of them are not. Good communication are clear. And clarity, and we'll talk about that a lot today, clarity has a lot to do with your ability to have like goals that are clear. Your ability to know what am I trying to do here? Clarity in my speech, my level of speaking, and we're going to talk about that with connection, because they tie in together a lot. Do you guys see that? I'm sorry. Yeah. Is that better? No. Okay, you guys need to bump over one seat, I'm sorry.
Or we could move that
just
over
for-
there.
That's true.
You're already a loser. Good job.
I was hoping to write it, but maybe I'll write next one. So the clarity and communication are very tied together. What does communication have to do?
Move people toward your speaking.
No, that's good. Speaking.
No. Not communication. Connection.
Understanding.
Connection. Okay, understanding. What is connection mean?
Creating a bond.
Empathy, a bond. Good, very good. What else?
Able to relate to people.
Relate to people. Excellent. Very, very good. So between them is a very, very important link. John Maxwell has a famous book. I didn't read the book, but I've heard some lectures that he did about the book, where he speaks about and he says that many communicate but few connect. So connection is about your ability to have a rope between you and somebody, right? Like literally like a Wi-Fi connection or a rope connection, right? Your ability to link directly to that person. And clarity is a powerful means of connecting, right? Especially when you know your audience. So if I have clarity in who I'm speaking to, then I know how to deliver a clear message to them, right? So kids, yesterday, I went to a lecture yesterday. It was supposed to be they told me ages 10 to 15. And it turned out most of the audience was like 15 to like 45, right? So obviously, I walked in, and it's not my fault. I made sure that I asked and got as much detail about the audience as possible. So when they told me preteens, I have a certain mindset for preteens. But when you walk in and it's like, adults and maybe some, it's like 8-year-old, 7-year-old, and there's a 45 animals on the corner, and then there's like teenagers. So all of a sudden you have to adjust, right? Because what I had for the preteens, the play and the stuff like that, I can't do that anymore. And then there's the setting, and then there's many different elements. So we have to understand. There's an element that's called demographics, but today there's something called psychographics, which is you even go into. So demographics is what? When you're connecting with somebody, what is demographics?
Their identity.
Right, very good. So what is demographic? What are the questions in demographics?
Demographic is just like a group of people. Anyway.
Age, gender, race, right? You're asking simple things like that, right? Am I walking? Are they Muslim? Are they not Muslim? Right? Basic demographics. Psychographics goes into, and we're going to talk about psychographics in this workshop, in this program. Psychographics goes into what do they value? What are their interests? What do they love to focus on? Where's their emotions? Where are they in their life? If they're a millennial, it's different than Gen Y, right? And even to that level, effective communication goes in that depth. And we'll talk about that later. We'll talk about audience a lot in this module. Because knowing your people is very, very important. Alright, excellent. Again, some of the basics. A couple more, I'll just put them up here. Alright? Effective communication, the more skills and techniques that they have, the more powerful they are. What are some techniques of really good, effective communicators? Techniques. By the way, I know most people take a speaking workshop for techniques. They just want to learn, okay, what do I do? How do I do? How do I stand? Right? But so we're going to do that, inshallah. We're going to do the philosophy behind it. But what are some techniques that powerful communicators use? Yes?
They seem at ease.
Okay, so techniques. So they're relaxed. They use relaxation techniques. Okay, good.
They walk like back and forth, between the stage and use arm movements whenever they're speaking.
Okay, so body gestures are very, very important. The more body gestures that they have. But by the way, if I was just sitting here doing this, listen guys, effective, is that body gestures? Like good body gestures?
No.
No, there's effective body gestures, and then there's like bad body gestures. Right?
Diction.
Yeah, like there's some really bad body gestures that automatically when I do them, you guys start to think, what the hell is going on? Right? So it's also about understanding what are effective techniques and body gestures. Very good, excellent. What are the techniques?
Diction.
Huh?
Diction.
Dic-
The way you use the word.
Rhetoric.
Yeah, I don't know.
Excellent, very good. Their ability to put like rhyme and put words together and use eloquent language, and they'd be like, whoa, did he just say presumptuous? I can't even spell that. Right? They'd be like, whoa, that is powerful rhetoric, right? So that's another technique. So all of these are techniques and skills. So the more skills, storytelling, in depth, right? Some people can tell a story, and some people can make you see the sweat in the story, right? Right? So there's a different depth of speaking skills, and that's a very, very important element. The other thing is that they have to be able to move people. So effective communicators, and this is the difference between just communicating, like what we call motivational speech, and then actual persuasion or influential speech. Motivational speech is just meant to, wow, okay. Persuasive speech or influential speech is meant to go, wow, I need to go right there. I need to buy. I need to sign up. I'm here, take my money. Right? That's influential speech. It's not motivational. Right? So moving people is an important part of this effective communication. I have to know where I want to move people. I have to know what I want them to do. So I have to know in my mind, and I have to know what it looks like when they're doing it. Right? Change their thoughts, change their patterns. Right? Just like this training in Chantala, I'm trying to do that with you guys. Last but not least is that I have to have experience in the area. Allah Azza wa says, Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu, lima taqulu ma la taf'alun. Why, O you who believe, don't you ever say things that you don't do? لما تقولوا ما لا تفعلون كبر مقتا عند الله أن تقولوا ما لا تفعلون. The most disgusting thing to God is for you to say something that you've never done. Like it's on Instagram. Guys, I'm gonna teach you how to make a $7 million company. Guys, swipe up. I'm gonna teach you how to make, millions of dollars on crypto. And most of the time, for me, I go to their Instagram account and I see like 500 people. I'm like, bro, you got $1 million, you got 500 followers on Instagram? You're gonna teach me how to build an Instagram business? Nothing. Right? A lot of people speak without experience. And so if you haven't done something, don't ever say or speak about it. Right? Experience is really important. So you should never say, that'll destroy a communicator. That they say, I did, and they've never done it. Right? They've never experienced. And even if they have, by the way, I'll tell you this as a metrics, a lot of people say they've done stuff for 20 years, but they've sucked at it. Like, I've been the worst. Like, I've been an accountant for 20 years, guys. I'm going to teach you how to do your taxes. But this dude sucks at accounting. Or this dude at something. Right? So experience is one part. So if you could put this formula down, inshallah, before we transition into the next part. An expert is someone that has depth in education and experience. Right? So if you want to be an expert in an area, you want to publicly speak and influence people and move people and influence people in an area, persuade people in an area, you should aim to be an expert. There's different levels. But an expert is someone that has education and experience. When somebody puts both of them together, they're extremely powerful. When somebody only has one or the other, they're only partly effective. Right? Does that make sense? Very, very cool. I hope that, one last point under this. There was a story of a great imam. His name was Hassan al-Basri. He was a great imam, very, very popular scholar in history. He was a student of the companions. There were slaves, friends of his, that were slaves. So they went up to him and they know he gives the khutbah every Friday. So they told him, "Ya Imam, please, we're slaves. We need you to give a khutbah about the importance of freeing the slaves in Islam. Okay? So that our masters can free us. Please." So they asked him and they begged him for 1 week. The next week, he didn't do the khutbah. Another week. Next week, he didn't do the khutbah. The third week. He didn't do the khutbah. So they kept begging him. They did it for like a couple months and they're like, man, this guy's a bum, sellout. Right? He doesn't want to talk about freeing the slaves, this, that, or the other. He's not our friend. A year passes and Hassan al-Basri gives a khutbah about freeing the slaves, and his friends, his two friends, their masters freed them after the khutbah. So they came up to him after a whole year. They're like, man, what's wrong with you, bro? We told you we could have been free from a year. What's wrong? What happened? Why did you do that? He said, I didn't. He's a great scholar. He said, I didn't have a slave. And I didn't have enough money to buy a slave. So I waited till I saved up money, brought a servant, freed him. Then I made a khutbah about freeing the slaves. And it took me a whole year to do that. That's how much he was trying to uphold what? That he wouldn't speak about something without him doing it. Now it's really hard sometimes in a lot of things. It's not like we're meant to be perfect. But definitely when you're delivering in an area that you're trying to influence, you should never be speaking about it, something that you haven't done, or haven't tried, or experienced, or struggled with, or you don't have any education, right? If you want to be really powerful, you become an expert. Education and experience, inshallah. Any comments or questions before we move to the next session? All right, cool. So again, Jazakallah khair, everybody that came a little bit late. We forgive you guys for today. Inshallah, we will, as I mentioned in the beginning, and I'll summarize here, we are focused in this next 6 sessions. We only have 6 sessions together. We're focused in these next 6 sessions in giving you depth of theory in influential communication and lots of practice, right? So we are, the idea is not for us, not for me to speak like this the whole time, is that you will be, of course, delivering and speaking, inshallah. Today we're going to do some impromptu. I know that I said I'm not going to do impromptu, but we're going to do some impromptu. And starting Monday, I will have you guys, inshallah, be recording for 5 minutes, inshallah. So we want to record you guys in the beginning of the workshop, and to get a baseline of where we're at, and at the end of the workshop, inshallah. Okay? so that we try to see this improvement. And I'm going to try to give you guys the clips so they have them for yourself, so you can see in yourself, did I improve in my persuasive speech, in my influential speech? Okay, my influential speech matters. So number one is a lot of theory and practice. Number two is that we have a lot of guest speakers. So starting next Saturday, inshallah ta'ala, Sheikh Brother Omar Osman will be here. And everything will be focused on, again, as I mentioned, is this persuasive speech. Different elements, different parts of it, and how, inshallah ta'ala, you can shape your messages in presenting persuasive speech to people, inshallah ta'ala. And I urge you guys to always have a book or something. Of course, we record all the time, inshallah ta'ala, for every session, bi'idhnillah, so that you guys are clearly making sure we'll have everything captured for you guys. We will send it to you guys if you miss anything, inshallah. Okay, great. So for the next 5 minutes, I would like everybody, just 5 minutes, and by the way, it's a part of the break, so if you want to grab something from the back, please do. I want you to write down points, just points, about a subject that you know and love dearly. That you know and love dearly, that you want to convince everybody else in this room to know and love dearly. Okay? So any area, pick any area, anything, any product, any idea, any sports team, I don't really care what it is. But we want you to make a speech. The speech is going to be very short, but you have 5 minutes to prepare for it. I want you to come up with some points about a topic or an idea or a thought that you know and love well, that you want to convince everybody else to know or love decent. Let's just say that. Okay? Take 5 minutes and try that. If you guys want some refreshments from the back, please do. Try to pick one specific area, one specific niche in your hobbies, interests, talents, abilities, and inshallah. Alright? Bismillah.
I don't know what happened to him. So now he's doing this on purpose. Why? He didn't want to. So we can talk about the Bears? How long do we have? 5 minutes?
Yeah, 5 minutes. Exactly 5 minutes. 5 minutes to chop.
Whole Foods? Whole Foods with Romy? 365?
If that's okay?
I remember when you made us go get soda from Whole Foods. I had 365 soda.
Why would you?
Romy is a very expensive man. He only likes Whole Foods.
So we started at 11:02. You have until 11:07. It's 11:03. Of course, I'm assuming that you don't know anything about persuasive speech, and that's okay. But you really love this subject, or you really know really well about this area. So at least that part is covered.
That could be an idea.
All right, so it could be how to become, the need for you to become a Dallas Cowboys fan, the need for you to invest in Bitcoin, the need for you to do hijabi tutorials on Facebook, or YouTube, whatever it is, whatever is your area,
It could be.
whatever is your niche, whatever is your passion, whatever is your interest,
Like anything, just anything.
anything for now. Yes. All right, write some points down. A couple of points. Three more minutes.
I know that basically that I know way too well on. Okay.
We're gonna talk about stress in a second. But that's good. Alright. Let's have one more minute. One more minute.
Nah.
Write down your points, write down what you want to speak about.
How long does it have to be? Couple minutes?
Yeah.
Couple minutes?
2 minutes.
You didn't get 7?
Under 2 minutes.
Oh, under 2 minutes?
Yeah.
Oh, it's not. Okay. Wait, how long?
Under 2 minutes.
I might go a little lower down.
Wait, how much time do we have to speak?
Under 2 minutes.
It'll be under 30 seconds.
If it's powerful, sure. Alright? So it turns 11:07. I know it's going to be tough to get everybody to do this, but everybody will have a good level, a good depth of presenting. By the way, I was going to talk about this a lot more on Monday, but we're going to be doing Toastmasters in here. We're going to be trying to go as a group to Toastmasters. Toastmasters is different areas in the community, in the city. It's like a meeting room. A lot of people walk in and you stand up in front of people and you just deliver a speech, right? So it's a nationwide organization known as Toastmasters, very popular. Advanced professional speakers get certifications from them, but they have different locations here. Actually, Mass used to be a location for them, for the kids and preteens. So we're going to be doing Toastmasters Challenge Out. I'll get you guys the information on that. But essentially, you walk in front of 50, 60 people you don't know, and you just give a speech. Okay? And obviously, we're going to shape it, inshallah. We're going to do our best to. Everybody's going to do that. All right? All right. 11:07. This will be random. I mean, I'm just going to look at the people. Oh no, not everybody signed up in here. Okay, so if you didn't sign up, that's fine. So we'll start with Hamad in the back. Yeah, sure. For today, notes is okay. But you can put it down on the desk. All right. So before we start, if you guys don't mind, I want you guys to take notes on things you notice. Anything you notice, just write down anything you notice about each person that presents. Okay? Things that you notice. All right. Ready, Muhammad?
Yeah.
Do I need to put a timer?
Sure.
Are you gonna speak? You're gonna speak for a while? All right, good. Let me put a timer so that we don't go over 2 minutes. Ready, set, bismillah.
Okay, so today, I think one of the most important things in our current day-to-day affairs is the fact that everybody's being directly impacted by global warming, and something that we can really do to change that is ban the production of plastic products. Now, one of the reasons, first of all, is that plastic can be easily recycled, and the matter of the fact is, even though we've tried our best as a people to increase recycling of plastic, there's so many people that don't bother doing it just because either they're lazy or they don't have access to recyclable centers because they aren't that well spread throughout the United States. Second of all, plastic bags are made from non-renewable resources. What we're doing is effectively killing off our planet, and not to mention the production process itself, using factories that contribute to global warming, and the pollution that we have in our air, and the pollution, all the waste that goes into our earth, our ground, our water, things like that. Third of all, we also talk about how there's other better alternatives that we can use to benefit our globe as a whole. We can use paper bags instead. There's other alternatives such as bags cloth bags, and you see a lot of places around the country that are actually implementing that, like Walmart, for a while was charging people for using plastic bags to like influence more people using cloth bags instead of that. And so there's so many alternatives that we can better use that will instead have better effects than plastic is.
Okay, mashallah, very good. Clap it up, mashallah. Very, very good. Very good. Very good, Muhammad. Barakallah feek. Very hard to go in go first. I really appreciate that. Jazakallah khair. Very good job. Mashallah. All right, you guys wrote some notes? Good, excellent. We're not going to tear them up right now, but we'll do that later, inshallah. All right, who's the next victim? Let's go with a young lady. Go ahead, Habib. Bismillah. I'll try and you guys need to bring more sisters. Let's be more girls here.
I don't understand how this whole thing works.
But Muhammad did a very good job. Mashallah, I'm not using any more plastic. Right? Ever again in my life.
Do they sell plastic? Hopefully, I don't think so.
No, they don't. That's why I don't have them.
So
All
it's
right.
supposed to be like a professional way of speaking.
Just go ahead. No, don't think too much about it. All right. Do I need to put a timer? I'll put a
I don't
timer.
think so.
All right. Ready? Set. Bismillah.
Okay, today I'll be talking to you guys about water. So I think that you guys should all be drinking at least 8 cups of water a day because it'll increase your energy. It promotes weight loss, so if y'all want to shed a couple pounds, why go to the gym? Just drink some water. It improves skin complexion. You got acne? Drink water. It boosts your immune system, so you'll stop being sick. It's flu season. You'll actually die if you don't drink water. I don't know if y'all do that, but you know. It prevents cramps and sprains, so it's pretty great. And you know, if your siblings are ever annoying you, it's a natural headache remedy. So I think y'all should all drink water because it's delicious, nutritious, and it's good for you. So I think y'all should definitely drink it. It's actually free if you find a water fountain near you, and yeah.
Mashallah. All right. Mashallah. Very, very good. Clapping, you guys clap it up, man. Come on. Excellent. Jazakallah khairan. But not water from a plastic bottle, right?
This is actually made out of.
She's not emphasize on that point. But it's okay. It's okay.
This is made out of glass.
We're not placing anybody. Good point. Good point. Mashallah. Very good. That was very good. Let's go with Yusuf. Come on. Tag team though. All right. Please write notes. I want you guys to be writing notes about things you notice. Anything you notice, just in general. Anything about anything. The words, the speech, the content, delivery, doesn't matter. Just take some notes inshallah, okay? Nidal, Muhammad, please, if you guys don't mind. Take some notes. All right, ready? And go.
Alright, so today I'll be talking to you about why you should become a software engineer. So for this presentation, I took a deep look into the human psyche, and I realized the one true motivator, money. See, from undergrad, like right from undergrad, you can make $100K a year. That's like on average, alright? So that's one reason why you should become a software engineer. Second reason is that you get to tell things what to do. So if you like telling things what to do, you should probably become a software engineer because you can tell a computer what to do. And you can be a part of the future. Like Elon Musk, a great innovator in the field of technology, he sent a car into space. Do you know how cool that is? You want to do that? Okay, become a software engineer. Alright. Also, the snapshot update. If you hate it, then become a software engineer. You could probably change it strictly. It's like the possibilities are endless. And that's all I wrote.
Excellent, very, very good. Clap it up, very good job. I like that. Very, very good. MashaAllah. Some really good techniques. I like that. MashaAllah. Very, very good. Excellent. All right, we'll do one or two more. Let's go with Brother Nidal in the back. Brother Nidal in the back. Our powerful speaker. Nidal. Zahra. All right. What are we supposed to do? Good. All right. Ready? Are you guys ready to start? Please take notes. Everybody take notes. Ready? 3, 2, 1. Go.
Okay, so
my passion is helping people. I feel like it's good to help people because you see life in a different perspective. First of all, it's good in Islam. You get good deeds, alhamdulillah. And Well, helping people shows you what other people go through. And when you're in that position, you like to be helped as well. So by helping people, you see life in a different perspective. And inshallah, in the near future, you get helped as well. Thank you.
All right, all right. Clap it up. Very good. All right, thank you very much. I'm inspired to help people the rest of my life. Very much. Very good. Jazakallah khair.
What do you
You're
want for
volunteering yourself? Okay. No problem. We'll take that. Sure. Why not? All right. By the way, I know you guys are in debate, so Hamid's had debate before. Ayman's had debate before. That's good. Alhamdulillah. All right. Ready? Set. Please take notes. And go.
What I'm going to be talking about today is something that we've all gone through. Failure. See, most of us think of failure as a setback. But in reality, struggles and criticisms are prerequisites for greatness. In order for us to have this greatness, you have to know where you stand. Sometimes it takes a fall to know where you stand. In order for this to occur, we have to fail. With progress, with success, there are many issues that are aligned with this failure. For example, Thomas Edison. It took him 9,876 times to find the right filament for the light bulb. Without this 9,876 times, without that, we really wouldn't have the electricity and the light to see during the night. And because of that, because of his failures, we prevail. We're able to do what we need to do while other people have the failure to do them. And so, we have to look at this at a different perspective. Failure is not something that can bring us down, but if you look at it in the long run, failure is what's going to be bringing us up.
Excellent. All right. Very good. Very good. MashaAllah. MashaAllah.
I feel like y'all
Very good.
talked about these topics already before.
Yeah.
Just go first.
Seems somebody got a head start. Very good. Very good. All right. Very good. So we're doing really good on time. So I can take a couple more. So we'll go with Jamal first. Come on. Bismillah. This is a very comfortable setting, Jamal. So
I don't have any real.
The important. What's your favorite soccer team? Huh?
Real Madrid.
The importance of rooting for Real Madrid, please. You can start there.
We don't just want to have a whole essay on that.
I really don't.
Come on, Bismillah. Give it a try. Just give it a try, inshallah.
Come on, you can do it.
You're doing a great job.
We're cheering you on.
Yeah, you guys have to be comfortable in this class to. You do great. Talk about soccer.
What people?
Real Madrid, FIFA. All right, I'm gonna have everybody start taking notes. You guys ready?
Oh no, we're good.
3, 2, 1, go.
Alright.
Anything.
Talk about soccer.
Soccer is basically a sport with 11 players versus another 11 players. It's basically like a teamwork effort. Helps you get organized with anything basically. Helps you communicate with different people and like different situations. Yeah, that's all I got.
Okay, that's good. Very good. MashaAllah, very, very good. I'm going to play soccer later on today. MashaAllah, very, very good. Excellent, excellent. I hope you guys can get comfortable. Jazakallah khair, Jamal. I know that's not easy, but this is a good fixed setting to do this, inshallah. Come on, Ma. Let's go.
Wait, you want to go up?
No.
We have time to get everybody, so let's just try to do this. All right. Make sure you're taking notes, guys. Please write the name of the person and take notes on them, please. All right. Ready, set, go.
So, topic for today is kickboxing and why you should play kickboxing. Because kickboxing is simple, fast, and rough. It's not that hard to understand, and it's not that hard to train. It's also very cheap and easy. But it's also very rough as well because it's tough on your body. And it's simple defense for when you're out at night because it's basic punches and kicks to ensure your safety, and it strengthens your body overall. It forces you to eat and drink healthy because if you don't, then you kind of die in the training session of the part. Because if you don't drink enough, then you cramp up and die. And you don't eat enough, you cramp up and die. So it also eases stress because you get to punch and hurt people, but without getting arrested for it. And it erases and it strengthens your temper because eases your temper because if you don't, because you have to be patient enough to understand and learn the technique of fighting. And it also conditions your body and quickens your reflexes because that's the only way you know how to fight, is to ensure your safety. And you also gain fighting skills, and if you're passionate about it enough, you can win championships and get money and recognition in the world. And yeah, that's why you should join kickboxing.
Excellent, very, very good, excellent. Clap it up, very, very good. Very good job. Let's go, Mozi. Come on, quick one. Bismillah.
You said we could do business ideas?
You can do, guys, I want you guys to do anything you're passionate about, because that's the most natural that comes to you. Right? Something you know well or you're passionate about is what's most natural. So anything that you know well or you're passionate about. Right? Bismillah, ready, set, go.
So I have a business idea. My business idea, I don't know if you guys seen the Boba Heaven where it's at. You know, it's like a Chinese mall. And they also have one on, I believe, Greenville. So my business idea is basically to have the same type of thing for Muslims. Have like a Muslim cultural mall, where you can have markets, you can have restaurants, you can have rooms where classes can be taken. So that way, because like my mom, when she goes shopping, she goes to Sara Bakery, she goes to India Bazaar, she goes to Oasis. So this way, if we have a Muslim cultural mall, we can have everything in one spot. You can have restaurants, you can have markets, you can have, I'm thinking of a women's fitness center maybe in the back. I don't know if it will work, but that could be an idea. I think that's an area that Muslims are missing today. It's going to cost a lot of money, but I think that's what Dallas is missing. It's missing a place where everything just comes together. You can have a theater, you can have a wedding hall. You know, it could be a really legit idea, cool idea that could, you know, be very, very profitable. But yeah, that's my idea.
Excellent, mashallah, very, very good. Who's donating?
I need investors.
Mashallah, we need investors.
I need
Mashallah,
like 20.
mashallah. Excellent.
You take school
Excellent. We'll team up with the Zahras. Mrs. Isra. Soon to be Miss Isra. Inshallah. Can you take some pictures? Please. No, your phone, you just send it to me. Take some nice pictures. Alright, Bismillah, 3, 2, 1, go.
Assalamualaikum, y'all. I'm going to talk about why you should love my little 2-year-old brother, Bilal. First of all, he's like a mini human, you know, he's just so tiny and, you know, he's so lovable. Whenever you look at him, he just gives you instant happiness. He also gives life, you know, just the way he laughs and how he gets excited about the most little things, like, you know, you'll give him an apple and he'll just be so excited and happy and, you know. Also, whenever, he has a tendency to accidentally hurt people, like because, you know, he has like a ball or something, he's throwing it around and accidentally hits you in the face. If he sees you're upset, he'll be like, I'm sorry. I think, you know, that's just very adorable. Last night he wanted to eat chips, but it was his bedtime, so I said, no, you can't have chips. And he was like, please. I was like, okay, fine. Yeah, his hugs are out of this world, and
Okay, mashallah, very good, excellent. Mashallah, very good job, sir. Mashallah. I want a Bilal toy. We're gonna buy it. You guys see the movie?
They're available at the cultural mall.
Nice. Last one is Abdullah. Abdullah, you ready? Come on, Abdullah. Bismillah. Don't worry about it. Your favorite anything, and you'll do well. Come on, Bismillah. Can't hide under the sweater, bro.
It's like he starts running, he walks up and
Where's mine?
His name is Abdullah. Abdullah. All right. Ready? Set. Go.
Okay, I'm going to talk about why you all should play soccer. Because it forces you to drink and eat well. It conditions you. It, like Jamadi said, it helps you on communication, like on the field. It's very popular around the world. It's very fun to play with friends. Like if you're bored, just it doesn't have to be 11 versus 11. Just play in the park or something. When you're bored, yeah, that's it.
All right, mashallah, very, very good. Mashallah. Excellent, very, very good. Very, very good. Jazakallah khair, Abdullah. I know it's hard. Alhamdulillah, you know, obviously different levels of people, but that doesn't matter. Inshallah, we're all going to try to improve all together, inshallah. So you guys did a really good job. So before we go into some deep analysis of everybody, you don't have to hide, all right? You did a good job, man. Don't worry about it. We're going to try to you know, give not just positive feedback to everybody, but we want to learn about the most important elements first. And obviously, I can measure you guys and know what things I should focus on. So when it comes to influence, there's really 4 important areas that we need to understand very well. Because again, we're not focused on speech where we're just trying to explain something. We're trying to focus on speech that gets you to invest, to do something, to recycle, to drink, to love, to have an emotion, right? So we're trying to influence certain things in people, right? Thoughts, actions, emotions, beliefs, right? So that type of influence requires 4 areas that we're going to focus on in this module. The first of them, and what we're going to discuss for the rest of today, is attention. If I don't have people's attention, I can never influence them. Basic principle. And attention, and I'll put up the element of it right now. Attention is equal to 2 things. Okay? What is attention? Even in learning or neuroscience, they focus on these 2 things. Attention, number 1, is... Why did I blank out? That's not good. Attention is...
Staying focused.
No, one part of attention is memory. I apologize. I know what I mixed up the equation. Influence, affecting somebody else's thoughts, emotions, or behavior, is equal to impacting their memory and attention. Okay? So I cannot influence somebody if I don't have their attention. And if I'm not able to imprint their mind or their thoughts, their brain, I'm not able to influence them. By the way, the brain is a source of emotion, the brain is a source of action, the brain is a source of memory, right? Does that make sense? So there has to be an imprint into them, their brain, their memory bank, and there has to be attention. Those are both needed for influence. By the way, both are needed for learning as well. You can't learn if you're missing attention or memory capabilities, you can't learn, right? At a basic level. Excellent. So, that's important. Then there's the concept or science of influence, okay? So, then there's like, okay, what is the neuroscience of influence? What are the techniques that people get influenced? What are the ideas? What's the theory behind influence? We're going to learn that. Then we're going to learn about persuasion. Persuasion is a deeper level of influence. It's a type of influence where I'm able to change cognitive beliefs, right? Change the way you see the world. Change the way you understand things, right? I'm making an imprint into the way you see things. Changing your glasses, essentially, all right? And then there's inspiration. That is much more focused on emotion and ability to impact people, not just logically, but emotionally. These are the different types of areas that we're going to be discussing and practicing on, okay? So the first of them is attention. I don't have people's attention right now, but focus on 3 areas of attention for today, and we're going to criticize because the first part of attention is what we were trying to, this case study was. How much attention did they keep or get from the audience, okay? That's the only metrics I want you to focus on right now. So, the first thing, first part of attention is having confidence. Confidence, or your aura, is the first part of getting somebody's attention, right? When you see something in front of you and it captures you, its aura or its confidence captures you, then all of a sudden you have to give it your attention. It's almost, as humans, it's almost something we can't stop, right? That's why things like beauty or things like power or things like dominance or things like size or things that are really adoring, they capture our focus right away. You won't notice everything else, but you'll focus on that one thing because its aura pops out. Okay? So, under this obviously comes a couple of areas, and I hope you can write on them because we're going to discuss who fell into this category from the ones that presented. So, nervousness is a part of confidence. Ability to relax. Your ability to have preparation, or be prepared. Your ability to overcome mental roadblocks. Your ability to create certainty within yourself is all a part of confidence. Okay? So some elementary techniques of confidence. People that stood up here, let's just very quickly, who wrote down not relaxed? I hope everybody's okay with some positive feedback. Yeah, who was up here and kind of nervous? Okay, good. You guys raise your hands. Excellent. Who was up here and kind of not confident? Be honest. Okay. Good. Who was up here and they didn't have a mechanism of relaxing themselves, like getting over roadblocks? Okay, good. Who came up here and they were not certain what's going to happen? Okay, very excellent. Right. Excellent. This is all part of the things that you can build within you. Okay? So let's talk about some of them. How do you overcome anxiety, nervousness?
Drink water.
Excellent. Very good. Yes? Okay, very good. So number one is, it's preparation before you come up here. Okay? It's really important. Actually, if you speak to most people that train on speaking, they'll tell you, look, the most important thing is preparation. Then everybody goes, what's up? Preparation. Then everybody goes, what's up? Preparation. The more prepared you are, it's a much greater advantage when you actually get up to present, right? And obviously you guys didn't have a lot of prep time anyway, right? But I figured that if you talk about something you knew and loved, at least from a content perspective, you'd be okay. But how did you prepare yourself before you come up? So did anybody do anything before they came up in prepping themselves? Talk to yourself, or talk to us out loud. What did you do before you came up?
Outline.
Okay, good. So you made an outline. You had an outline of the things I want to talk about. So some goals. Good. Yes?
Summarize what I was going to say.
So very good. You summarized it how?
Like, I put in like...
Before you came up, right?
Before I put in certain words, and whenever I looked at that word,
it came up. Very good. So you didn't write an essay. You write a point, and it pops a thought into your brain, and you speak. You get good preparation. Very good. What else? Other physical. Anybody do any physical preparation?
Stretch.
You stretch?
I drink some water.
You're trying to imprint the water part. Good. So there's physical things that you can do for sure. Breathing a couple breaths in and out before you come up. Taking a moment and just trying to relax. Whether it's a very small room, right? It shouldn't matter the size of the room. These are techniques that you should build no matter what, right? So the more you do them, the more it'll build confidence in you from, 6 people to 6,000 people to 60,000 people. The same techniques, once you imprint them, they become a habit, right? So it's very important. You should, what most trainers say is that build a habit that you like, that gets you comfortable, right? Tony Robbins is one of the most, I love one of my favorite speakers. Every single time he speaks, every single time he's conditioned himself, every single time, right? He literally speaks, you guys can go on Instagram, he was in Singapore, it was like 14,000 people in a room, okay? Every single time, watch the documentary, it's on Netflix, he walks up, he does like a little Michael Jackson thing, and he walks out the stage. He says, that's my way of imprinting to myself to relax. Get ready. My psychology, my physiology is like in tune. And it doesn't matter if it's a group of 10 or it's a group of 10 million, this is what I'm going to do. He does it every time. Little habits like that give you good techniques. I personally, I don't do anything. But I think for myself, I'm very comfortable with certain things. So I don't have something. But some people, and I've learned this as I've gotten into more teaching other people. Not everybody can do things like I do. So if you are comfortable with something, do it. And I need to close my eyes and take 3 deep breaths and go. I need to close my eyes. I need to open my eyes. I need to just release one time and go. Whatever it is. But have a technique that gets you. It's not about being comfortable. You're never going to get rid of the anxiety. Right? You're going to learn to work through the anxiety. Right? Because your emotions are not supposed to be controlled. You really can't control them sometimes. Everybody gets scared. Everybody gets nervous. But when you have a technique to get you through something, you do it, right? Roller coaster. Everybody, when they're holding on, everybody, if they're really scared, everybody's like this. And then when it goes, they're just like, okay, right? For the most part. Because it's that initial, the mind creates the fear. There is actually no fear in this room. Nobody was going to throw a tomato. Nobody was going to snap you and you know, put some nasty thing up. Like, it was all an illusion of the mind. Most of the time, our mind is what's creating our fear. It's just an illusion, right? So that nothing actually is going to happen. So once you're able to overcome that, it's very powerful. Okay? So building confidence is very important in attention. Okay? Did anybody be honest? You guys can be honest. Did anybody come up here because they were not confident that you lost? You don't even remember what they talked about. Okay, for example, I'll give you a couple ones. Anybody remember what Nadal talked about?
Yeah.
Okay, what did he say in the middle about? Okay, what did he say? Can you repeat? He started off with Assalamu alaikum. Can you repeat something in the middle from his speech?
Yeah, he said helping others, you get help in the future when you help others.
Okay. Did he say that?
Yes.
Okay. Go ahead.
I don't think
It's good for your moral compass, and it's better. And it gives you.
Oh, you wrote down. You guys were supposed to write that down. You guys wrote down parts of the speech. Oh, I'm sorry. I wanted you to write down things that they were doing.
I wrote things that he was doing.
The things that they said. You wrote things that they said. That's why you remember that. Did you write down something he said?
No.
Okay.
Yeah, right. He took a video.
Okay, very good. Very good. Okay, very good. Did anybody remember what Jamal said?
Yes. He said,
Communicate.
Communicate, 11 on 11.
Work with people in different situations.
Work with people in different situations. Good. Good. These are the ones that are outwardly nervous. Very, very good. All right, good. Excellent.
Nervous. That was perfect.
The second part of attention is leading your talk. Lead your talk. What does that mean? It means that when I come up, again, this is just about keeping attention, right? Other than the physiological elements, again, we're going to train on all these in more depth. But people that are influential, they gain your attention, they're able to lead you into what they're talking about. Okay? What does that mean? It means everything about their presence in front of you. Right? So outside of what they're physically doing, how did they conduct themselves? Did you guys notice? Can you tell me who stood back here when they spoke?
Tomorrow.
Yusuf did? Isra did? Abdullah did? Jamal did? Excellent. Who stood up here when they spoke?
Me.
I did. He did.
No, no, he did not. You did not.
I did. He did.
Had you stayed here?
Video proof.
You stayed here? And Muhammad stayed here.
I want to stay there when I
Right.
So what does that mean?
Some people stood in the middle. Who stood in the middle? Who stood here?
But Yusuf was more in the middle.
Amen. Yusuf was a little bit more in the middle. Okay. Anybody else? And Muhammad. Good. How many of them did you feel that they were leading you to what they wanted to say?
Me.
I didn't mention your name. You know where you were? You were actually here, then here, right?
Yeah, I was walking around serving the room.
But your eyes were always there.
It was either on top or on the ground. It was either on the...
Or there, or here.
Or there.
So did Nadal lead you to love?
I think I did.
No, you didn't. I think you led me to look at the wall's colors. Right? That's where you were leading me. Presence has a lot to where you want to lead somebody, right? So, because again, we're focusing on influential communication, right? The way your presence is on stage affects how you're leading the audience very much. I want to show you guys a very quick video. It's about, her name is Amy Cuddy. It's 45 million views on TED Talk. You guys should go watch the whole thing yourselves. but she speaks about the psychology of the self in dominating or leading a presentation, how you lead a talk, okay? So I want you to notice something about her content and how she leads. So two different things. Listen to what she's saying, but listen to how she's saying, okay? It's a very interesting dynamic. I really hope we have sound. Bismillah. So this is about how your body language shapes who you are, okay? You guys should watch this TED Talk. It's a very good TED Talk.
Negotiations can lead you to claim more value from that negotiation. If you use them poorly, bad idea, right? So when we think of nonverbals, we think of how we judge others, how they judge us, and what the outcomes are. We tend to forget the other audience that's influenced by our nonverbals, and that's ourselves. We are also influenced by our nonverbals.
Okay, don't get distracted with the words. I'm sorry, I didn't realize it's cut off. Just try to listen to it. We're only going to play a couple minutes of it.
Our thoughts and our
I'm so sorry. This is the volume.
Oh,
Is it back?
Can I turn off the lights?
Here's the projector, sir. You can turn off the lights, yes. Whatever gives you guys better attention.
Amen. Amen.
We're not that loud.
Amen. It's up there on the projector.
I don't think it's from the. I think it's from the projector.
It's on the
feelings
projector.
and our physiology.
Oh, great.
It's on the projector.
We just need
That's
to
the backup.
When we think of nonverbals, we used well in online negotiations can lead you to claim more value from that negotiation. If you use them poorly, bad idea, right?
Okay, hold on. So this is the part I want you guys to hear from, okay? So please notice two things. If you write down certain notes, I want you to focus on the content, very important, but I want you to focus on how she's delivering content. So her message is about how your body leads or impacts people, okay? When speaking.
So when we think of nonverbals, we think of how we judge others, how they judge us, and what the outcomes are. We tend to forget, though, the other audience that's influenced by our nonverbals, and that's ourselves. We are also influenced by our nonverbals, our thoughts and our feelings and our physiology. So what nonverbals am I talking about? I'm a social psychologist, I study prejudice, and I teach at a competitive business school. So it was inevitable that I would become interested in power dynamics. I became especially interested in nonverbal expressions of power and dominance. And what are nonverbal expressions of power and dominance? Well, this is what they are. So in the animal kingdom, they are about expanding. So you make yourself big, you stretch out, you take up space, you're basically opening up. It's about opening up. And this is true across the animal kingdom. It's not just limited to primates, and humans do the same thing. So they do this both when they have power sort of chronically, and also when they're feeling powerful in the moment. And this one is especially interesting because it really shows us how universal and old these expressions of power are. This expression, which is known as pride, Jessica Tracy has studied, she shows that people who are born with sight and people who are congenitally blind do this when they win at a physical competition. So when they cross the finish line and they won, it doesn't matter if they've never seen anyone do it, they do this. So the arms up in the V, the chin is slightly lifted. What do we do when we feel powerless? We do exactly the opposite. We close up, we wrap ourselves up, we make ourselves small. We don't want to bump into the person next to us. So again, both animals and humans do the same thing. And this is what happens when you put together high and low power. So what we tend to do when it comes to power is that we complement the other's nonverbals. So if someone's being really powerful with us, we tend to make ourselves smaller. We don't mirror them, we do the opposite of them. So I'm watching this behavior in the classroom, and what do I notice? I notice that MBA students really exhibit the full range of power nonverbals. So you have people who are like caricatures of alphas, like really coming into the room. They get right into the middle of the room before class even starts, like they really want to occupy space. When they sit down, they're sort of spread out, they raise their hands like this. You have other people who are virtually collapsing when they come in. As soon as they come in, you see it. You see it on their faces and their bodies, and they sit in their chair and they make themselves tiny, and they go like this when they raise their hand. I noticed a couple things about this. One, you're not going to be surprised, it seems to be related to gender. So women are much more likely to do this kind of thing than men. Women feel chronically less powerful than men, so this is not surprising. But the other thing I noticed is that it also seemed to be related to the extent to which the students were participating and how well they were participating. And this is really important in the MBA classroom because participation counts for half the grade. So business schools have been struggling with this gender grade gap. You get these equally qualified women and men coming in, and then you get these differences in grades, and it seems to be partly attributable to participation. So I started to wonder, okay, so you have these people coming in like this and they're participating. Is it possible that we could get people to fake it, and would it lead them to participate more? So my main collaborator, Dana Carney, who's at Berkeley, and I really wanted to know, can you fake it till you make it? Like, can you do this just for a little while and actually experience a behavioral outcome that makes you seem more powerful? So we know that our nonverbals govern how other people think and feel about us. There's a lot of evidence, but our question really was, do our nonverbals govern how we think and feel about ourselves? There's some evidence that they do. So, for example, when we smile when we feel happy, but also when we're forced to smile by holding a pen in our teeth like this, it makes us feel happy. So it goes both ways. When it comes to power, it also goes both ways. So when you feel powerful, you're more likely to do this, but it's also possible that when you pretend to be powerful, you are more likely to actually feel powerful. So the second question really was, so we know that our minds change our bodies. Is it also true that our bodies change our minds? And when I say minds, in the case of the powerful, what am I talking about? So I'm talking about thoughts and feelings and the sort of physiological things that make up our thoughts and feelings. And in my case, that's hormones. I look at hormones. So what do the minds of the powerful versus the powerless look like? So powerful people tend to be, not surprisingly, more assertive and more confident, more optimistic. They actually feel that they're going to win even at games of chance. They also tend to be able to think more abstractly. So there are a lot of differences. They take more risks. There are a lot of differences between powerful and powerless people. Physiologically, there also are differences on two key hormones, testosterone, which is the dominance hormone, and cortisol, which is the stress hormone. So what we find is that high-power alpha males in primate hierarchies have high testosterone and low cortisol. And powerful and effective leaders also have high testosterone and low cortisol. So what does that mean? When you think about power, people tended to think only about testosterone because that was about dominance. But really, power is also about how you react to stress. So do you want the high-power leader that's dominant, high on testosterone, that's really stress reactive? Probably not, right? You want the person who's powerful and assertive and dominant, but not very stress reactive, the person who's laid back. So we know that in primate hierarchies, if an alpha needs to take over, if an individual needs to take over an alpha role sort of suddenly, within a few days, that individual's testosterone has gone up significantly and his cortisol has dropped significantly. So we have this evidence, both that the body can shape the mind, at least at the facial level, and also that role changes can shape the mind.
Okay. Can somebody turn on the lights? So I urge you guys to watch this. I'll send this to our group chat and make sure that everybody at least gets it, tries to watch it. So again, she was presenting some really important concepts about the physiology, right? So what stuck out to you? About the content. Yes, go ahead, Tim.
Like every few minutes, she'll like put her hand over her mouth.
Okay, so I was gonna talk to you. So I was gonna talk to you guys about how she delivered. I'm not asking about how she delivered yet. So I'm talking about what she said. I want to focus on what she said first. Her message. What was her message trying to get across? Yes.
The body can shape the mind. It shapes your influence.
Very good. So the body shapes the mind. Okay. So your physiology when you're speaking or leading, and she was referring to both, shapes what? Shapes what? The way you think. Alright? So people that stand up straighter and taller tend to be more confident and more effective than people that are less. Does that make sense? By the way, there's a lot more research on this. There's a lot of research on physiology. Very, very good. What else did she say? Yeah.
Talk about how people, when they come into the room, they're already trying to gain dominance in the room.
Very good. So people, leaders or dominant figures, when they walk into a room, it's like they want everybody to follow them. Okay? Right? They're leading the way. Oh, I'm sorry. I lost the... They're trying to lead the